but you can just refer to me as a cybersecurity analyst and educator, because I do a lot of speaking, which is part of what I'm doing here. I do a lot of training, and yeah, if you want to know more about me, just look up on LinkedIn. You will get more details about it. Okay, so this is cybersecurity track, and you're going to enjoy it. But I just want to, make this disclaimer before we start, that you cannot learn cyber. Well, I don't know. Digital marketing is very easy for you to learn, maybe in 1 week or maybe in 4 days. Of course, you can start something in 1 week. Then Upwork or freelancing or gig work is something you can learn within 4 days, which has proven, we've seen testimonies from what Empress is doing, uh, with the learning so far on Upwork, and people have been testifying. So I just want to make this disclaimer that cybersecurity is not like that, because cybersecurity is a very wide field that, in short, one specialized area or domain of cybersecurity, you can learn it for 2 years before you become expert in it. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying so that we don't spend these few days and you will think you are good now to get intermediate job. Let me just tell you, there are 3.5 million cybersecurity on-field job currently. Now, it is not because there are no people to fill those spaces or those positions. It is because the skill set, there is so much gap in the skill gap around the world. And many, people who are coming into cybersecurity, they are not measuring up to the standard of competency that so many of these cybersecurity enthusiasts have, for them to join these organizations. And I don't know if you have come across this, it's very rampant now, where employers will be telling you entry-level job, they will be telling you to have 7 years experience in tech. I know you will say that one is HR issue, but forget it. Even hiring manager that you think will rescue you, they will still be looking for some sort of experience from an entry-level person. So now, much of the work, you will be doing much of the work. I will train you here within the few days we have, but I will be providing a lot of resources. I said a lot because it is going to be very much that you will need to consume on your own. And then I will be providing platforms for you to practice on your own to solidify your confidence. And well, I might speak with Empress, maybe if she can partner with triad. Triad is one of those platforms where you can learn the practicality of cybersecurity, And also, there is non-technical aspect of cybersecurity. If you think you are not too tech savvy, there's non-technical aspect of cybersecurity where we talk about risk management, IT governance, compliance, IT system auditors. Those ones, they don't deal with firewalls, they don't deal with tools. They deal with processes and standards. They write policies. They make sure that people comply with policies, people follow due diligence in organization when it comes to security. And you can choose to be a security awareness advocate, like I am, because I do a lot of security awareness. Yes, that path in cybersecurity have not gained so much recognition in Nigeria. But outside the country, if you are very good, organizations will love to employ you. So I'm saying all these things to prepare your mind for what is coming, because cybersecurity basics alone cannot be taught in 1 week. Like the basics, the peripheral cannot be taught in 1 week. You can go and ask any other expert that you have as friends or on LinkedIn. So because so that we will not just come and do 4 days and think organizations will start hiring you. It doesn't work that way. But you can work towards it in such a way that in 3 months, at least you have tangible skills that can render values to organizations, that you can go for interviews and you know, and be able to say one or two things, and organizations will know, oh, if we invest in this person with his passion or with our passion, you know, we will be able to get the value in return. You know, so that is what this class is all about, to teach you the basics and then impute in you that passion. And then I will also be sharing some things you can do to gain visibility, that, you know, people begin to actually come to you. You know, they might not be employers or hiring managers, but people will begin to see you as, oh, this guy is already doing cybersecurity. And if they see any opportunity, they want to call you. Oh, fuck, I see you are doing cybersecurity. Can you do this? Can you do that? So, having said that, I want to believe that we understand everything that I've said, so that we can just start. Okay. Okay. So, Empress, please, if you can unmute, how many hours are we spending here? Is Empress on the call?
Hello?
Is she on the call? Please, how many hours are we spending?
1 hour. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, speak, please.
Just 1 hour, please.
Hello?
Hello, I said we are spending.
Oh, somebody's, I can't. Oh. Thank you. I've gotten what I want. Thank you. Okay, so yeah. Let me just share my screen, so we'll just start. Okay. Just give me a few seconds. Let me just give me a second. Let me put full screen there. Just share. Okay. I don't know. Can we see my screen now? Just type it in the chat box if you can see my screen. Oh, thank you.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so yeah, digital and cybersecurity. So we'll be doing the basics, as I've said. Okay, so well, after this course, you should be able to understand the fundamentals of information security and best practices. You should be able to understand securing both clean and corrupted systems. Understand securing both clean and corrupted systems, protecting personal data, securing simple computer networks, and safe internet usage. You should understand key terms and concepts in cyber law, intellectual property, and cybercrime. Now, we might not get to all these other objectives because 3 to 4 days cannot cover them. So we might be stopping at the first and second objective. Understanding fundamental of information security and best practices, understanding securing both clean and corrupted systems, protecting personal data, securing simple computer networks, and safe internet usage. Then on the last day that will be meeting, I will just show us some few practicals using Wireshark. Don't worry, I will explain some of these things. Using Wireshark, how to investigate a network traffic. That is, if you are browsing from your system, you know, your system is connecting to a server that is, you know, responding to your request from your browser. And in an organization, these kind of networks, you know, are being captured for analysis. You understand? So that they can gain insight into what is going on the network and then be able to know if there is any attempt of attack. So I will just show us how that is done. And then you can play with Wireshark on your own. I will give us some resources that will help us to, at least even if it is Wireshark, be able to learn very well. You'll be able to at least collaborate on projects that has to do with network security. So this one and the first and the second will be doing, and it's very interesting. We enjoy it. It's just that cybersecurity is wide, and I won't lie to you. Okay, so these are the different domains in cybersecurity. These are the different domains. So you see now that I said cybersecurity is very wide. Cybersecurity is like a branch of computer science. But even as it is a branch, it is still wide with several domains. Like you can be, for example, I'm doing like 3 things together and I'm working in different companies doing those things. Cybersecurity give you that leverage, to be dynamic, because there are different domains that you can actually, become expert in and then still use them to hand. You understand? So here we have, frameworks and standards, and under there you can be somebody who is very much, an expert in cybersecurity framework and standards, in drafting and making sure that organizations, comply with some of these standards. You can just peg at this point and still earn money. So you can go and, download all these frameworks from NIST, as National Institute of Standards and Technology. You can download their frameworks, all their frameworks, and study them, and then become expert in that, and then begin to help organizations to strengthen their cybersecurity posture for them to be able to comply with NIST frameworks. Because many organizations who kept data and processed data, some specific data needs to, comply with some of these standards, and they look for cybersecurity experts who will help them to, to be compliant with these standards. Then you can go for ISO and IEC and SANS and the rest of the standard like that. You can decide to be a career development expert in cybersecurity, and be doing training for people, just like the way I do training for people, help people to, pass their certification. You can become a speaker, speaking about career development in cybersecurity in conferences, in which I do that also. I was just coming from the conference at Ibadan today, and I speak at conferences. You can, help people to build community where they will learn. You can peg at that place. That's a domain. That's one domain, and people are earning big, in that domain also. You can be a risk assessment or risk management expert, a vulnerability scanner, or you do third-party risk assessment, fourth-party risk assessment. You can do penetration testing, that is, trying to look for vulnerability in systems and organization networks, and then identifying those vulnerabilities, recommending, mitigation strategies, for them to actually patch or update or fill up those compliance gaps, which is one of the things I also do. Okay, you can be a data-centric risk assessment expert and the rest of them. You can be a security SOC analyst. There are a lot of my friends that are doing this SOC analyst. You do detection, you do protection, you do prevention, you monitor organizations' network to be able to see if there are any attempt of attack, or even if there is an attack launched. You'll be part of the team that will respond to the attack, try to contain the attack and eradicate the impact, or even reduce the impact of the attack, and restore the organization system back to normal operation, and help organizations to continue, to engage business continuity. Very nice domain in cybersecurity. You can be a threat intelligence expert. Your own would be that you would, you will be a researcher who gathers data from sources, and then, retrieve, insight from those data, and then you use that insight, that clean data, to make informed decision to help your organization protect themselves, protect their servers and their networks from attack. You can also be a governance. I talk about, non-technical aspect of cybersecurity the other time. Governance is part of it. Risk management is part of it. Career development is part of the non-technical. If you are somebody that, you are not too techy like that, you can go for all these, domains. Governance, where you do audit, auditing an organization system to see if the security posture the security measures are in place. You can also be a law and regulations expert, who helps federal or state government, or even industry to, be able to comply with the cybersecurity laws of a nation and the rest of them. You can be a cybersecurity law enforcement agent. You can be a digital forensics investigator. You can be a crime investigator. Those things, you really don't need to have too much technical knowledge for you to thrive in those domains. Now, I'm taking my time to explain this domain because there's no point if I just move on and okay, we just start and I'm explaining other concepts in cybersecurity, and I do not show you, where those things fit in. So as we dive in, you begin to see, oh, from this domain, okay, so it means that this knowledge of mine we apply in this domain. This knowledge I've acquired we apply in this other domain. That's why I'm taking time here. So it's very important you understand the different domains that we have, so that looking inwardly, evaluating yourself, you will now look at it. Okay, from the skill set I have, or from my inherent ability, from what I can do, which of the domains aligns with my person. That's how it works. So, because you cannot do everything. With domains, myself, I like talking too much. So I see that, okay, this is my ability to talk, and get people along with what I want to say, passing my message across. I think career development is very nice. Security awareness is very nice because I'll be doing a lot of talking. Then I love assessing things. I love looking at things to see if they are compliant, or if they are. I went to the route of risk, I'm very inquisitive. I love digital forensics because I'm very inquisitive. I want to know. So these things, when you look at yourself, what are the things you can do naturally, effortlessly? Then you'll be able to, oh, with these skills and inherent ability I have, with this natural ability, I think this domain is best for me. And then you just pursue. Okay. So companies written supervisory procedures, you can be there, as an expert who writes policies for companies. We have several policies: password policies, Cleandex policy, acceptable usage policy, and the rest. So you can be there. And then compliance and enforcement, you can be like somebody like law enforcement agent in cybersecurity, where make sure that people comply with security culture in an organization. That will be your main job. People comply, you enforce security measures, and you make sure that standard of operation when it comes to security is being followed thoroughly. You can be a user education, training users, awareness, and the rest. So you see, I've mentioned like about 3 things or 3 domains that have been functioning, that I'm functioning currently now. So cybersecurity gives you that, that leverage or that platform to be able to be dynamic, and then be able to get different skill sets in different domains, and then you'll be able to, even earn more. You understand? So yeah, so vulnerability management and the rest. So these, oh, I did not mention security engineering. Yeah, security engineering. You can be a cloud security expert. There's cloud computing. And in cloud computing, you deal with cloud infrastructure. You deal with helping organizations to migrate their physical infrastructure into the cloud, and maintaining and securing the data in the cloud. And then there's network design and security, there's data protection and privacy, there is identity management, where you will be an expert in who access what on a network, on an organization's network, identifying who is responsible for what, and then helping organizations to enforce the principle of least privilege, where you make sure that you limit the activity or action people perform on on a network to their roles. That is, they don't perform beyond the roles they are supposed to perform, and the rest of them. And also, doing onboarding for new employees, security check, clearance, and background checking is still part of identity management, access control, and system integration, application development. If you have a background in software engineering or software development, application security will be very good for you, because you already know how applications are being developed. You just now integrate the security aspect of it. You see, so it is very important that you look inward and just make your decision which domain am I going to fall into, or am I going to go for? Okay, so these are some of the resources that we will try to use. I've said I'm going to introduce us to Wireshark and also Kali Linux. Kali Linux is an operating system, just like Windows, but it is an operating system that is used for hacking. It has resources for hacking. When we talk about hacking, we are talking about breaking into a system, assessing a system to see vulnerabilities and then patch up those vulnerabilities. That is hacking, and we have different types of hackers. I will talk about that later. So these are the tools we are supposed to use, and I will introduce you to Hack the Box. Hack the Box, that is those people who want to be a penetration tester or a hacker. I will introduce you to Hack the Box. I will introduce you to Try Hack Me. Try Hack Me is for everybody, so you can learn the practical of this course there. There are free rooms where you can learn, and then there are paid rooms. So okay, so let's just quickly see what we can cover before. I will try as much as possible to leave some few minutes for us to ask our questions. And then later I will create a Google Drive where I will drop some materials and then I will share with us. So videos, I told you I have a lot of materials that you will have to do self-study, to gain these real skills in this field. Okay, so yeah, fundamentals of information security. So what is information security? I know you would have a question that, okay, we were talking about cybersecurity the other time. Now we are talking about information security. Information security is cybersecurity is like an like a branch of information security. Now the word cyber means digital, it means virtual, it means anything that is not physical. They are virtual, they are in the space, or you cannot feel them physically, but you can interact with them. That is cyber. That's when we see the cyberspace. It is not something you can touch physically, but you can interact with it, just like your operating system on your laptop. Now your laptop is a physical gadget, but without the operating system on your laptop, you will not be able to use that physical gadget. So for example, if there's no operating system in your laptop, like Windows operating system now, if there's no Windows operating system in your laptop, what is an operating system? An operating system is a software that helps you to interact, that serves as an intermediary between you and the hardware. It serves as an intermediary between you and the hardware. Now, let me continue with my illustration. Your laptop or your computer at home, that's a physical gadget, right? That's a physical device. Now, if you buy that laptop or that system without an operating system there, you've only bought a physical gadget that is working perfectly, but will not function. It's working perfectly, but it will not function because you will not be able to do what you are supposed to do on them, because there is nothing that is, serving as an intermediary between you and that hardware, between you and that physical, that physical gadget. So the operating system is an intermediary that helps you to interact with the hardware. So it means that, your own language that you speak, the English language or whatever language you speak, the computer does not understand the language. So operating system translates that your own language into a machine language that the hardware understands. So for example, you want to type, I am going out, and you want to print it out. Now, I am going out is a language you understand. It's not a language a computer understands. So there must be like a software or an application that helps you to, that helps you to inject that information into the hardware of the computer and then output that same information in a printed form. Because there is no cyber security or information security if you do not understand the basics of computers and information technology. And that's the basis I'm quickly explaining now, how computers actually work. Because you cannot protect what you don't understand. What you want to protect is you want to protect computers, you want to protect network devices, but if you don't understand it, how do you protect them? Okay, so cybersecurity is like a branch of an information security. Cybersecurity, that's cybersecurity. So now, after going through this definition of information security, I will now define cybersecurity. Now, information security means protecting information and information systems. You see, protecting information. So it means every information, whether in the form of whether existing in the cyberspace or existing physically. That's what information security is about. So every information in existence, whether digitally or physically. But cybersecurity is the means of protecting digital information. Do you see that? Digital information. So any information that exists digitally, any information in the cloud, and the devices that hosts or houses that certain information, that is what cybersecurity, the protection of that device and that digital information is cybersecurity. So information security is the protection of both physical and digital information and information systems, that is the devices and the systems that host those certain information, from unauthorized access, unauthorized use, unauthorized disclosure, disruption, modification that is unauthorized, or destruction. Do you see that? Unauthorized access, it means there are certain information that other people are not supposed to have access to, that are not supposed to be disclosed to the public. That, any disruption, any interruption of those information will cause so many harm to either the owner of the information, the organization that owns the information, or the public at large. Modification also of that unauthorized modification can also make the owner of the information to lose huge amount of money, lose reputation, and even sometimes be fined, be subject to huge fine. An example is Facebook. There was a time Facebook was facing litigation, they lost a lot of millions of dollars then. There was a time that Facebook and every other application that was tied with Facebook, there was a time that their network was down for 7 hours. And within that 7 hours, Facebook lost $5 billion. Within that, is it $5 billion or $5 million? $5 million. Within that 7 or 5 hours that all their systems were down. Do you see now how powerful information and data is? Now, an organization will hire or employ a cybersecurity expert because they don't want to experience something like that. Because they know the amount of money they will lose if there is disruption in their services to their end users, or their consumers and their clients. So that is information security. And cybersecurity is protecting digital information in this sense. So information security management is a process of defining the security controls. So when we say information security management, it is a process of defining the security controls in order to protect the information assets. So it means the management aspect is now defining the controls, the security controls, the security measures that will help you to protect information assets. So your own job in an organization might just be to develop a security program for that organization. What you just be doing is you are in charge of developing, okay, how does this person access these resources? And then you put it in documentation and it becomes the policy of that company. That anybody that wants to connect to the network of this organization must have this, and this on their system. That anybody that wants to access the server room must have this badge, must be in this particular role before they access the organization system. Now, you will be the one to develop the policy. Some other security experts might be the one to implement the policy. And some other people might be the one to monitor the compliance. You see that it is very dynamic. So you can be doing one thing and still be earning the same thing as somebody that is doing another thing. You can specialize in just information security risk management alone. And you will still, your career will still grow to that, top height of becoming a chief information security officer. In short, I have studied over time that most of the people that gets to the top very fast in cybersecurity are people who are not going through the route of technical aspect of cybersecurity. There's most of the people who are doing the non-technical aspect of cybersecurity. Go and check. So I'm saying this so that, you know, it should not just be as, oh, this is technical, this is too technical, there is non-technical aspect. You can be a security researcher, a security technical researcher, or a technical writer in cybersecurity. Okay, so what are the core of information security principles? The core of information security, there are 3 fundamental principles of security, and these 3 fundamentals are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Everything you want to do in cybersecurity or information security is built on these 3 core principles. It is built on these 3 core principles. It means whatever you want to do, whether you are a digital forensic analyst, is either you are attending to do this one or 2 or the 3 of these principles. The ultimate goal of cybersecurity or information security, the ultimate goal of this field is to protect. So if you are hacking, you are hacking to protect. If you are auditing, you are auditing to protect. If you are educating people, you are educating to protect. Everything you are doing it to protect information assets, to protect devices, to protect organizations from attacks, from cyber attacks, from threats. There are several threats, emerging threats. Research even showed that there are 500 plus, you know, new threats that are being rolled out every day around the world, like altogether, every day. So look at it. From now to 2030, do you know how many threats will be rolled out every day? Do you know how many emerging threats we'll be having every day? So what is confidentiality? You know, we normally refer to it as CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And AIC, sometimes triad, so that it won't look like the CIA of United States. Okay, so what are the 3 core principles of, you know, cybersecurity or information security? Number 1 is confidentiality. That is the act of protecting information from public disclosure, from unauthorized disclosure, protecting sensitive data and processes from being revealed to the people they are not supposed to be revealed to. You know, the privacy of data, the privacy of information, the secrecy of information, that's confidentiality. The ability to protect an information, protect a data from unauthorized exposure, unauthorized disclosure, that's confidentiality. What is you see, now these 3 core principles fit into the definition of information security. That's why I said cybersecurity or information security is based on these 3 core principles. So integrity talks about the authenticity of information and data, the accuracy of information and data, and the reliability of information and data. Let me start an example. For example, your bank. Now, the banking system subscribes to these 3 core principles, and I will explain how they subscribe to it. Now, confidentiality. If banks are not subscribing to confidentiality or protecting, you know, their organization to achieve confidentiality, they will be exposing your account number and your account details and everything that is tied to your account that is supposed to be known by you and you alone. It means they will be exposing it to other people to see. So banks will not in any way, and they will make sure that every technology are put in place to make sure that your own bank account and the details of your bank account, both the balance, your transactions, are private to you and you alone. That's confidentiality. That is no other eyes seeing it apart from you. Now, They will make sure they subscribe to integrity, or they make sure that they put in place technology that make them to achieve integrity by not allowing any form of unauthorized modification to your bank account. Modifications such as, changing or withdrawing, changing your details without permission, withdrawing from your account without permission. Banks will make sure that they put in place technologies that provides integrity solution like that. They will prevent unauthorized modification on your bank account. They will protect the environment where all your monies are being stored virtually or on their system. Then availability, they will make sure that all their services are available to you 24/7. Do you see that? So now these three things, banks will make sure that they achieve these three things. Any bank that does not achieve these three things, there are standards, regulatory organizations that will fight them. They will fight them and make sure that they go out of business if they do not make sure that there are technologies put in place to ensure these three core principles of cybersecurity. And that regulatory body is called Payment Card Industry. That's their name. And they have a standard that all banks and financial institutions, they are compliant with if they want to still be in business. And the name of that standard and framework is, that standard and law is Payment Card Industry Security Data, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS. So I've used bank to explain what confidentiality, integrity, and availability is. Now, let me use like Jumia now. This one is local, very local to us. Let me use Jumia. Now, you use your card, your ATM card to pay on Jumia, right? Now, Jumia will make sure that they implement every technology possible to make sure that that card information is not exposed to an unauthorized user. So they will make sure they protect their platform, put in place technologies, make sure people are working day and night to bring confidentiality to that data and information you are sharing with them. Integrity. For example, you have an account on Jumia that you normally order. You make payments, you order, you do this and you do that. Now, Jumia will make sure that they are delivering, nobody is, modifying your information in such a way that any order that you make, they make sure that they deliver that order to your address. Because if that process is intercepted, it means that somebody can change that address to the address, and then the dispatch rider can take your goods to that other person's address. And another thing Jumia is doing that I love is they will send you a code. I don't know if this is resonating with somebody. They will send you a code, and when the dispatch rider comes, the dispatch rider asks for the code. So that alone will help them to be able to, ascertain that it is the same person that has ordered the goods they are delivering the goods to. You see integrity there, So availability for Jumia, they will make sure that their website is up and running always. No disruption, because any disruption, they will lose millions. If Jumia is being interrupted, if their website is because that's their main source of income. If their website or source of revenue, if their website is interrupted and people cannot make sales for one day, you will see Jumia cry. That is availability. You see that? So these three things, I can continue like that and begin to mention company, but I'm bringing it locally so that you will understand what it is. When you see a company, you are beginning to think, okay, what kind of data do they process? How does the information security principle applies to them? There are some organizations that the information security principle that applies to them is just two. Some organizations, it will just be confidentiality and availability, depending on the kind of data and information they process. Some organizations, it just be integrity. And for example, the government is not, if for example, the government now, their websites, the government is not, will not care so much about integrity. Or no, they will care about integrity and confidentiality. They will not care so much about availability. For their website, if the government's website is down, all the best. Anytime they bring it up, they are not losing any money. I don't know if you get this logic now. So you see, different sectors with, you know, how and dynamics way of how the information security principle applies to them. So the understanding of these three principles, any position you find yourself, you'll be able to, you know, think critically and apply the right measures, security measures, to be able to help protect that organization effectively. Okay, so when it is 7:50, I'll open the floor for questions. Okay, we are still with the fundamental of information security. So now, while talking about confidentiality, talking about integrity, availability, and the rest, we need to talk about other concepts in cybersecurity that you need to get acquainted with before we move deeper into it. Number one is vulnerability. One of the concepts that you will come across throughout your journey in cybersecurity is vulnerability. Vulnerability is weaknesses in an information system, like loopholes, weaknesses, something that makes you to be easily exposed, something that makes a system to be easily exposed. System security procedures, weaknesses in system security procedures, weaknesses in internal controls, or weaknesses in implementation that could be exploited, weaknesses that can be taken advantage of, loopholes that can be taken advantage of, or triggered by a threat source. So let me cite an example. For example, if you have okay, let me come local before we talk technology. For example, you have a two-door. Let's say an example, you have two doors in your house. And when you want to sleep, you only close the front door. You left the back door open. What do you think will happen? That is a vulnerability. That's a kind of loophole. Because what you have just done is you have made it easy for robbers, thieves. You have made it easy for them to gain entrance into your house. So that is practical weakness. That's practical vulnerability. When something is vulnerable, it means that thing is easily exposed to being exploited. And another example, let's use technology now. For example, a web application, because something buffer overflow. Let me explain what buffer overflow is. In a web application or in an application, a buffer overflow is when a developer, a software developer, gives more memory to an application than is supposed to, you know, retain. So it means that if an application is supposed to retain like 5 gig memory for it to function well, and that software developer now mistakenly gives like 6 gig memory, it means that 1 gig will be hanging. And that hanging, we call it buffer overflow. It means that threat actors can leverage that remaining 1 gig to do whatever they want to do on that system. That's buffer overflow. There are several vulnerabilities. As we go on, we begin to mention them. Several vulnerabilities. One of them is not using an antivirus. It can be no, that one is even too shabby. Now, another vulnerability that you can have is when you do not update your operating system. That's another vulnerability. When you do not update your operating system. For example, I know some of us have this, you know, this orientation of pushing updates to the future. Like you say, ask me later. You are supposed to update the application, even on phone. You say, ask me later. Because we are lazy, we don't want the system to, you know, you will not be able to use your system for a while because it's updating. That's a vulnerability, because that update is supposed to, you know, update and patch, upgrade some aspect of your operating system to a new version, because the old version can be taken advantage of. So it means if you are not upgrading or updating it, when threat actors or attackers come to take advantage of that weakness in the previous version, they will be able to enter into your system and commit unauthorized activities or perform unauthorized activities. But when you update it, what you have done is you have kicked out, you have strengthened and hardened your operating system in such a way that it will be very hard for attackers to now get through. So that's vulnerability. Then threat is any circumstances or events with the potential to adversely impact organization operations. Any circumstances or events that will potentially harm or have negative impact on an organization's processes. Processes such as functions, the image of the organization, operations such as the functions and the mission of the organization, the image of the reputation of the organization. For example, let me start an example. For example, website defamation. Defamation now. Now, defamation is when people begin to publish false information about you, and then they are making people to believe that's a dent. That's an attack on reputation. And do you know that there are some competitors of organizations that does that? They will hire hackers to hack, organizations' website and then put all sort of nonsense on the website. That is defamation. So that is a threat to that organization. Then organizational asset threats, organizational assets or negative impacts on individuals through an information system via unauthorized access, destruction, disclosure, modification of information, or denial of service. Also, the potential for a threat source to successfully exploit a particular information system vulnerability. So if a threat actor, who is a threat actor? A threat actor is an agent who carries out a threat on an organization, operation, or organization asset. A threat actor is an agent. It can be a person, it can be a technology, it can be a device, it can be a person. So a threat actor is anyone or any agent, let me say agent, whether device or software or human being that carries out threats or exploit the vulnerability of of an organization. So now the potential of threat now is that ability for a vulnerability to be exploited. The ability for a vulnerability, we talk about weaknesses. So it becomes a threat when that vulnerability is being taken advantage of. So the outcome of the exploitation of vulnerability is threat. Now, risk. I will stop at risk and then we will ask questions. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay. Risk, the level of impact, and then don't mind me, I will give you assessment. Please, I do this very well. So, and it will be a research, so that we understand. That will help you to understand this better. And of course, even while I'm saying that before you become an expert, it takes a bit of time. You can train yourself in research and reporting, and then still make money off it. There are a lot of MSc students that want to write research on cybersecurity that don't even know what to write. So if you can develop that skill of researching, and then you can make money off that. Okay, so that's by the way. Okay, so risk quickly. The level of impact on organizational operations, assets, organizational assets, individual, resulting from the operation of an information system, given the potential impact of a threat and the likelihood of that threat occurring. Now, risk is the likelihood of, is a function of vulnerability and threat. That's risk. Is the function, risk is a function of vulnerability and threat, and it is the likelihood that a system is going to be taken advantage of. That's the possibility of a system being taken advantage of. That's risk. That the likelihood that a threat is going to, an attack is going to happen to an organization. So when we now say risk management, we are saying the preparation that goes into the evaluation of the risk profile. Evaluation of the risk profile of an organization, identification of the risk in an organization, analysis of that risk, and then the measures implemented to either avoid the risk or reduce the risk is called risk management. So risk is the likelihood that a threat is going to take advantage of a vulnerability in an organization, and it will have a huge impact on that organization. So risk is just risk management is like having a preventive measures in place in the case that a threat happens. I don't know if we understand that. That's risk management. Having a preventive measures in place in case there is an attack in the future. So it means that you will try to evaluate your organization and every technology and assets that you have, and then identify the risk associated with those assets and every technology you use. When you identify them, you then begin to group them under different categories and then begin to give them risk score or impact rate. If the impact will be medium, if the impact will be high, then based on that information that you have been able to, gather together and discover, you now be able to make informed decision for your risk plan, either to avoid the risk, to accept the risk, or to transfer the risk to a third party. Don't worry. I hope we'll be able to cover so much and touch some of these things. And either to transfer the risk. That's where we have cyber insurance, where you transfer the risk to a third-party organization, and if anything happens, it is that organization, that will take, that will have to see to what is going on. You won't be the one to see to what is going on again. You have transferred the risk to them. They will take care of the thing. Just like a normal insurance that we have, people insure their life, people insure their house, people insure their cars, just like that. So risk is a whole lot. But with this basic understanding, you know what it is. Okay, so we'll be stopping here and I will be entertaining questions now. Stop sharing. Okay, so I'll be entertaining questions. If you have a question, I would want you to raise up your hand. I hope we know how to raise up our hand, right? So I would want you to raise up your hand, and then I will be calling our names. You can unmute and then ask your question. Oh, Victor Atama. Okay, while I call on Victor, I need more hands. I want to believe, okay. So I'll give Victor, I see gift, I see Victor. Okay, I'll give Victor the opportunity. Okay, Victor, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Sheon. My question is, how does threat affect the hardware of a system?
Okay, how does threat affect the hardware of a system?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. Now.
Or attack.
Attack. Oh, okay. Attack is okay. Yeah, attack is better. Okay, so when we talk about the hardware of a system, we're talking about the motherboard, we're talking about the RAM, all those physical parts, so that other people understand. All those physical parts like the keyboard, the port jack on the motherboard, the processor, in the system and the laptop. How does threat affect it? Now, threat in this form now can be anything like natural disaster. Now, from the standpoint of malware, there's some malware that might not be able to get to, or most malware will only affect the software aspect of your system. You get. But when it comes to the hardware, the one that is very prominent is natural disaster, like fire, like when acid pours. So those ones, comes under physical security. And that is why we have physical security, in place. Fire, when the electricity, the voltage of electricity is more than what it can, electricity voltage is more than what your physical hardware can contain. It becomes a threat. That is a risk. Okay. That is a threat, I don't know if I've answered your question.
No, my question is cyber attack.
Cyber attack.
Yes, how does it affect the hardware?
Okay, so now, as I've said, cyber attack might not have a direct impact on the hardware. When you mention cyber, you should already know that we're talking about software applications, not physical. From what I explained, from information security and cyber security, I said cyber takes care of everything in this space, the internet, the devices that you use to, connect remotely, and the rest. So, for example, if there is a cyber attack of ransomware, what they are attacking is the data that your hardware is hosting. That attack will not directly have impact on your hardware. Ransomware is when they lock down your data and they're asking for money, your money, they're asking money to restore that data. So that does not have a direct impact, on the hardware. So majorly, cyber attacks does not have a direct impact on hardware. I don't know if you get that. So, for example, if you have a server now, a server is physical, like a physical computer that holds the resources that you send to clients, computers. Now, if there is distributed denial of service attack that attacks your server, and then the server begin to malfunction, is not available for users, it does not mean that the server is destroyed. The physical hardware of the server is destroyed. It's just that that attack has affected the softwares and the data on that server. So if you're able to resolve that, so far your server is still working. When you plug it, it will still power on. You will continue. So cyber attack does not have a direct impact on hardware. Natural disasters and all these physical disasters, physical threats are the ones that have a direct impact on your hardware. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, gift. Calling on gift.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you for the wonderful session. It's kind of very informative. So my question is, as a web developer, so which area of specialization would you advise I specialize in, since you said cybersecurity is a very vast.
Okay, so as a web developer, you can specialize in application security. That is security of websites, web applications. If you are a web developer, you develop web applications, is it not just websites, right?
Yeah.
So you can specialize in web application security, where your own is protecting web applications from attack, trying to evaluate and access vulnerabilities and loophole in web applications. You can specialize in that. That's number one. Number two, you can specialize in DevSecOps. There's DevOps, right? That's web development and IT operations. I don't know if you know about it. Yeah, there's Dev. So you can now you can specialize on DevSecOps. That is web development, IT operations, and integrating security into it. Just like and what they do majorly is with that process of SDLC, software development lifecycle, they make sure that they implement security from the beginning, the planning phase, to the implementation phase and the monitoring phase. So you can specialize in that. If you don't want to go the route of application security, you can be a DevSecOps, implementing security in every stage of software development lifecycle. You know that SDLC normally does not have any security measure implemented.
Yes.
Normally, so you can specialize in that, where Then another thing you can go for is building security solutions. That are security architects. Building security solutions. So far, you are good with web development, programming language. We have guys who build security. There's no solution you want to build without using programming language, because it's software you are building.
Yes,
those malware are built using programming languages. Many malwares are written with C++.
Yes.
Many malware are written with C# and Java. So if you are good with those, you can just go the route of, okay, I want to be a security solution developer or security solution architect. Then you can also, you see, I've mentioned how many now? Three. You can become a malware analyst or a reverse engineer. Now, there are malwares that, not even there are malware. Every malware you see are built using programming language. Many malwares are built with JavaScript. You can go and check. Many malwares are built with Java. A lot of them. So you can be somebody that, what is the role of a malware analyst or a reverse engineer? What they do is, the way they have built the application, they will reverse they try to decode what they have coded, and then study the functionality of that malware, and then use that information they have gathered from that study to protect an organization's network. I don't know if you get that. So it means you will have to, analyze the source code of the malware, and you cannot analyze source code of a software if you don't know the programming language that was used to build the software. That's what malware, and these things I've mentioned, that's about 4 now. I've mentioned a good area where web developers can find effortlessly, in those domains. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Celestina. Gift, you can raise down your hand. Celestina, you can speak, please. Okay, if Celestina is not ready, Chinedu, please, you can speak. Hello, can you still hear me? I feel like nobody is hearing me.
Yes, we're with you.
Okay, so if these people are not ready.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Go ahead with your question.
You made is that hacking. I've been hearing this.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you because there's so much noise at the background.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, you know what you do for me? Just type it in the chat section. Type it. I have Victoria's own, so type it in the chat section and I will answer your question. Okay, GDL4, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I want to ask this question: is cyberbullying the same with cybersecurity, or are they interrelated?
Okay.
What are the features?
Okay. Cyberbullying is a threat, is a cybersecurity threat. Is not cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is protection of information, digital information, normal information system, devices, people. Let me include people because cybersecurity covers 3 main categories or 3 main areas. It covers protection of people, process, and technology. People, process, and technology. So cyberbullying is a security threat to humans. Just like we have physical bullying, where people bully people, physically. So now, bring that understanding of physical bullying to cyber, meaning the bullying is happening via internet. It becomes cyberbullying. That is, maybe the person that you are bullying the person on social media, like on Facebook. The bullying is happening through Facebook. It has become a cyberbullying because the means through which that bullying threat is carried out is the means of cyber, using devices, electronic devices, and the internet. So it's not different from the physical bullying. The only difference there is the means through which that bullying is carried out. I believe I've been able to answer. So it's a threat. It's not the same as cybersecurity. So your understanding of cybersecurity should now be able to, inform you on how you should be able to help people who are being bullied online. Did you offer? Have I answered your question?
You're intelligent. Carry on, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Celestina. Okay, let me quickly read the questions. I'm still waiting for Chinedu to type his own question. Okay, now thank you. I love the teaching. Thank you. Okay, how can I develop myself to be equipped to be able to teach without practicing at all? Okay, this is a very good question. Okay, yeah, there are some people that I mentioned the other time, career development. Some people are not practicing at all, and they are helping people to develop themselves. But it is very rampant because there are some things you will not be able to teach if you don't practice them. See, it's not only in cybersecurity, in any field. There are some things you will not be able to teach if you have not practiced those things. They require experience for you to teach them. So it might be very difficult for somebody that is just starting out. So what I do advise people who want to go into, training people and the rest is, first of all, get experience from industry, from organizations, because you are just starting out. Learn now, and then at least have one organization that will employ you to work. So from there, you can then begin to develop, yourself in training other people, because you're just starting. If to say somebody, the person, if to say the person that is asking now is somebody that have gone a bit into it for a while, maybe has not even practiced it in any organization, but have learned, to the point of intermediate. I can still say, oh, of course, you can go ahead, but you are just starting out. You still need some certain experiences for you to be able to teach some aspect of this field. I think I've been able to answer Victoria. Thank you. Okay, Celestina, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for the course.
You're welcome.
Please, I want to ask, like someone that don't have any experience in programming languages and coding, what side do you suggest for the person?
Okay, so before I started the class, before I started the teaching, I said there is non-technical aspect of cybersecurity, and I talked about IT governance, risk management, IT security compliance. That is the people that develop policies. They don't do any technical thing. Their own is to develop policy for organization to follow. The people that that do IT security audits, what they do is most of the time organizations will hire them as a consultant. And what they will do is they will come to your organization and come and rubbish. If you have worked in bank, you will understand what I mean by audit. When those guys have worked in bank before, anytime those guys come, my orgas, all my bosses, they will be shaking. Those people that are shouting on us, before, you will see them begging us that please, this, please, that. And it's not as if those guys too know anything like that. But because of that auditor role they are playing at that moment, they will pamper them. So that same auditing in a normal firm, in a normal financial institution, we have it in cybersecurity, where what you do is you go into an organization and you begin to check their security implementations. If they do rubbish, you give them exception. You give them exception. If they don't implement this well, and every of you document it and then present your documentation to the stakeholders. From there, the stakeholders and management, they'll begin to make decisions based on the audit you have performed. That one, you don't need any technical, you don't need programming language to do it. Now, there are IT governance and compliance. Those ones, they enforce employees in an organization to comply with security measures in the organization. So there will be different policies, security policies in an organization that, some employees have coconut head. They will not do it. So your own job as a compliance officer security compliance officer is to make sure that they do it, that they enforce those security, that they wear their badge, that they make sure they change their password, all those kind of, security measures. So you can go with that route. You can go in the route of risk management. I've mentioned like 3 now. Risk management, where your own is you serve or third-party risk analyst, where you will serve questionnaires to security vendors, not security vendors and suppliers of an organization, like a supply chain. You serve questionnaires to them, and then from that questionnaire, you'll be able to access the application that they are supplying your organization, because there's no business that does not have suppliers of vendors that supply them applications, devices, and the rest. So your own is to make sure that those other third-party vendors are complying with security measures, so that it will not affect your own organization that you are protecting. That does not need programming language. So there are others. User education, security awareness. You don't need to know programming language. There are different domains you can work in cybersecurity that you do not need programming language. The major area where you need programming language is security operations analyst, that's SOC analyst, digital forensic, malware analyst, all those ones I mentioned the other time for the other person that asks about programming language. Those are the places. And those are just very little of the several domains that we have in cybersecurity. I hope I've been able to answer Celestina. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so most times I'm able to figure out when someone is using cunning methods to try and manipulate people to do their biddings. What area of cybersecurity can I function in? You can become a social engineer expert or social engineering expert. You can become a security awareness advocate, where you will train people on how to identify scams, You will train people on how to behave in organization. You train organizations on how to implement security culture. So you can become a social engineering expert who will help your organization with phishing. Phishing is when an email is sent to you to make security mistake. Phishing, help people, help your organization employees to understand social engineering, and you will also be there to monitor every activity in the organization so that people don't fall for social engineering and scam manipulations. I hope I've been able to answer the question. Thank you. Okay, I most time hear about ethical hacking. Please, what does it mean? Ethical hacking, now hacking is the process of breaking into a system or breaking into an application with the idea or with the goal of identifying vulnerabilities in that system. Now, ethical hacking is now the process of breaking into a computer to protect the computer, or breaking into a system to protect the system. The ethical there means you are doing it in a moral, you are conducting it morally based on the fact that a certain people or a certain organization give you an authorization to conduct it. So if it is normal hacking that all these bad guys does, they won't take any permission from any organization before they hack them. Before they break into their system, destroy some of their softwares, steal their data and the rest. So the ethical adding to the hacking means you have the permission and the authorization to carry out that assessment by breaking into organization system to see loopholes and how hackers or attackers will also come in, and then inform the organization on how they can prevent attackers and hackers from breaking in. So we have three types of hackers. Anybody that carries out hacking, we call them hacker, whether ethical or non-ethical. So we have three types. The first type is black hackers, which are the bad guys. The second type is gray hat hacker. Black hat hacker are the bad guys. Gray hat hacker are in between white hat. Okay, so let me explain what white hat. White hat hackers are hackers who take permissions. They are employed by organizations to come and break into their system in order to identify loopholes so that they can patch up those loopholes and prevent their organizations from cyber attack. So that's white hat hacker. Now, gray hat hacker, they are in between the black and the white in such a way that they will break into the system not with the intention of stealing their data or money, but with the intention of telling the organization later that, see, this and this and this are the vulnerabilities that we found in your organization. And most of them are called bug bounty hunters. That is, those people that they will just randomly try to assess organizations to see their loopholes, and then they will contact the organization that these are what we found. It's not as if organization gave them the permission, but they go ahead, but not with the mind of exploiting those vulnerabilities, but with the mind of just telling the organization. Now, you want to ask me, what is their gain? Sometimes organization rewards them, and sometimes they just want to show organizations that they are good. Maybe sometimes some of them might be a candidate who have gone for interview in that organization before, but the organization did not employ that person. So we want to show the organization that see the good product we did not employ. Okay, so yeah, I think we should stop here. Time has gone. Time has gone. And this person is asking, Azubuike, thank you, sir, for the class. Please, my question is, okay, about the IT audit security, you made mention of use. Okay, you said you don't really need programming language, yes? So what do they really need to improve on the IT audit security? They need to understand tools. They need to understand tools. They need to understand security processes. They need to understand security standards. That's what they need to understand. Tools like Active Directory. Active Directory is a tool, a software that you use to register your users on different across different workstations in an organization. They need to understand those tools and those softwares that they use in the organization and see how they have implemented those tools. You don't need programming language to understand that. So I hope you understand processes and technologies used in organization. Abi, do you need, this is the question, for you to use your own laptop, your operating system laptop, do you need a programming language to do that? Is it not that you just on your system and then you begin to use your laptop? Somebody else wrote the program for that operating system to work. Your own is to use it, and then you still use it to carry out other tasks. It's just like that. So there are technologies that have been built already by programmers. So you only need to understand how those technology functions and their security, the security implementation of those technologies. When you understand them, that's what you will go and check. You check if they implement the security very well, if they configure those routers or they configure the firewalls very well. And then most of the time you have guidelines, you have checklists that you just tick. They work with checklists and they work with those standards. There are standards already. You just download one of those standards and use it to check their systems. Okay. No need of programming language. Okay, so we will stop here. Any questions? Carry it forward. Thank you for your time. And well, we have used almost 1 hour, 20 something minutes. Okay, so admin, please, I am done. Thank you. Nobody's answering me. Hello.
Oh, well, we're only 1 hour, 20 minutes. I thought this something will last for like 2 hours.
I was told it is 1 hour. Please, somebody should help me. Where is the admin? Favor.
Now we are enjoying the class. Why can't you continue?
So you can actually continue, okay?
Add extra time. We're here, please.
Okay. Okay. So what's the difference? Different tools used by cybersecurity. There are hundreds of tools. I've shown you some of them the other time. There's Kali Linux, which is an operating system. There is Wireshark, which you use to monitor organization traffic, network traffic. There is SIEM, Security Information and Event Management System. There is SOA. There are many. You get different depending on the domain that you are. I told you cybersecurity is wide, and that was why I introduced you to different domains. So the tool I will be using as a risk manager is risk analyst is not the same tool that a penetration tester will be using. Me as a risk analyst might not even need to use Kali Linux. What did I want to use it for? You get. So there are different tools. Okay, how does tracking works using networks? Godwin, please. I don't understand this your question. How does tracking works? Tracking what? What are you tracking? Please explain better. Tracking what? You can't just be tracking emptiness. What are you tracking? Tracking what? Is it network traffic? Is it activity on a organization network? What exactly? We track so many things. Sometimes we even track activity on social media. So what exactly are you tracking? Okay. So, okay, actually wanted to ask about hackers and how beneficial or harmful they are to ICT or information security. They are very bad. How many of us heard of the Bet Niger hack? It is as bad as that. Hackers are as bad as that. For days, those guys held onto Bet Niger website. Nobody can log in, nobody can log out. Nobody can access bet. They cannot bet, they cannot do anything. And they wrote it there, those hackers wrote it there, back like this. That we have all the information, the data and everything, we have it in our hands. It is with us. They should pay before they will release it. So it is as bad as that. Okay. Okay. Can a risk manager work remotely or more? I love this question. Celestina, I work remotely, my dear. I work remotely. Now, cybersecurity has opportunities where you can work remotely. So I do vulnerability remediation and risk mitigation. So I work remotely. I work with a company in US and I've never been there before. Okay. Tracking activity on social media, sir. Oh, great. This aspect, we call it open source intelligence and threat intelligence. How does it work? There are different tools that we use. There are different open source tools that we use. Like there's one that we use for Twitter. Forgotten, oh, TweetDeck. We use TweetDeck for monitoring.
Okay, hello everyone, good evening. So this is gonna be the end of our session tonight. So see you all tomorrow and next tomorrow. And
Well,
don't
still
forget to
have more
join the
time.
session. Okay, okay, he's here, he's back.
Okay, so it's my network. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's my
That's
network.
another bully, cyber bully.
Okay, so okay, I was talking about TweetDeck. We use TweetDeck to monitor, activities on Twitter. There are other OSINTs, or open source intelligence tool that we use to monitor and threat intelligence, like the dark web. We use the dark web to also monitor activities of the hacker. Those are deep things, dark web. Okay, so can a risk manager work as investment? Do you want to specialize in risk management? Investment advisor? No, we know they do investment for what now? If you want to do investments, go and learn from financial institutions. We don't do investment advice. We don't advise on investments. Please, thank you. Okay, so okay, so there are no questions here. Let's just call it a day here. We'll continue tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow. I know you want to you want us to continue, but let's just call it a day here. We'll continue tomorrow. I will exercise more questions tomorrow. So I said I will give you assessment, right? Okay, so this is the assessment, and how will you submit? Okay, no, this is what we'll do. The first 15 minutes tomorrow, we'll discuss the assessment. Now, this is the assessment. Look for a data breach or a cyber attack. Don't say any cyber attack of your choice. Just go on Google. Any cyber attack of your choice. Look for it, and then just understand what happens there. So these are the things I wanted to point out from that cyber attack. Number one, point out the attack, the kind of attack that was launched at the organization. Number two, what are the technologies or tools that were used to launch the attack? Number three, what are the systems or the information system in that organization or devices in the organization, technologies in the organization that was attacked or that was impacted or affected? And then number four, what was the impact? There are four things. The first is, I'm seeing something. Wait, okay. Yeah, it's recorded. Yes, thank you. Okay, so look for a cyber attack of your choice. Number one, what type of attack was launched at the organization? Number two, what are the tools that were used to launch the attack? Number three, what are the systems or the technologies within the organization that was impacted or that was infected? Is it the company's network? Is it the router? Is it the what exactly? Is it the company's website? What exactly? And then does it affect the people in the organization? Okay, so then the fourth one is, what is the impact it has on the organization? When I say impact, like you can do they lose money, or they lost their reputation, or customers stop trusting them? Those are impacts. Sorry, what's for technicians? I don't really understand, please. Okay, so this is the assignment, and we will discuss it tomorrow. I'll be calling our names randomly tomorrow for us to. It's going to be very interesting. So that will prepare us for tomorrow's training. So I hope we've enjoyed the class so far, and we've learned one or two things. Okay, the third one. Oh, the third one. Okay, yeah, Empress can help. Yeah, Empress can help you to send the assignment. Please, Empress will help you. I'm not writing anything. Empress will help you to send the assignment. Okay, so, and this will really help your research skill. It will help your research skill. Companies employ, even not in cybersecurity, in other fields, people who are keen, with research and reporting. People who can actually, identify and bring out insights from many data, many information. They can bring out insights for informed decision. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so yes, you can use anything, not only Google, please. I made Google as an example. Use anything, please. Anything you think is fine. Anything you think, okay? Oh, okay, so thank you, Favor. I think I'm done. Thank you.